Welcome everybody to Beyond the Steps. Today we are talking to Gina McFadden about the top 5 ways that we can help children build healthy habits. I am Melissa McDaniel Grisham with TPBC, and this is Bree Zabrowski with Apala, and we are so happy to be here with you on this Friday. So I want to talk a little bit about what we are doing today. We are talking about these habits. They are so very important to make sure that we build those at the foundational level, and we are so happy to have Gina here with us today. Bree, do you want to talk a little bit about Gina?
Yes, Gina's been with us before. We're so happy to have her back. She's the author of Dancer 360 Practical Advice for Today's Healthy Dancer. She's a certified holistic life, career, and executive coach and is a registered yoga teacher through Yoga Alliance. She's performed professionally with Joffrey Ballet of Chicago, Boston Ballet School, New Jersey Ballet School. Gina, welcome, and thank you so much for coming back and chatting with us. I always love you part of Apala's live class series and our blog series. We just love working with you. So thanks for coming back. How's everything been going?
Thanks for inviting me back. I just love chatting with you too. I love so much what you do for the dance, and I'm just glad to be here. So you asked me how I'm doing?
Yeah.
I'm doing
good. Yeah.
I love New Year, new energy. It's actually one of my times of year.
There's something about it, right? Like it just, you feel like you get let's start all over and let's make something new and make something exciting. So I agree with you. Yes. We just had the most magnificent snowfall ever. It was the light feathery snow that looks like, cotton, and it was just, I was like, this is appropriate for this time of year. It felt so nice. Yeah, it's the one and only time I'll say that about snow, for sure.
Here in North Carolina, we haven't been having winter consistently. It's just
so much snow. But Gina, we're talking about healthy dancers, and so much of your work is focused on creating healthy dancers inside out, head to toe. And of course, we love that. When we talk about being a healthy dancer in today's world, what does that mean to you, and how is that different from kind of the connotation that is presented, so often when we hear that term?
That's a great question. I think it's always good to relook at our perception of what we think about as a healthy dancer. I think there's an amazing movement now toward a dancer being a whole person, this idea of a holistic, healthy dancer, focusing on resilient, strong minds, on healthy, strong bodies, and also this soul aspect. So we avoid the trap of burnout, which so many dancers can fall into. So this idea of taking care of your soul, disconnecting from screens, being outside, nurturing your inner artist. I think that's a new and vibrant way of describing what is a healthy dancer. And if we were zooming back, and there is still some of this out there, but it's almost ugly to say out loud, but we used to think of a healthy being skinny and flexible. Like that's like, what all dancers aspire to, but that's outdated. I think the new definition is a dancer who has a strong mind, strong body, and an effervescent soul, so that they can continue and they don't burn out in any one area.
Yeah, I love that description. I think that we should put that on a t-shirt.
Right. The effervescent soul of a dancer. I love it. Yes. That's the next t-shirt we'll be wearing soon on one of our shows. So it's super great definition. I want to talk about, go ahead and get into the basics of habits though, Gina, because we like to lay the foundation here. Beyond the Steps, you've been with us before. We're all in learning mode. So I want to talk about what is the characteristic of a healthy habit versus unhealthy or toxic habit. Is it possible for a healthy habit for some dancer to be an unhealthy habit or a toxic habit for another? Is it different by person?
Yeah, I think as in everything with health, it really should be tailored to each dancer. Each dancer has nutritional needs. Each dancer has physical needs. A hypermobile dancer is going to have way different needs from a dancer struggles. They have great strength and flexibility. So it's super important your habits to the dancer's habits next to you, or if you're the parent, what your child is doing and what another dancer is doing, but to really look at the individual.
That is, I feel like that's so challenging for this industry because I feel like so much of it is a keep up with the Joneses kind of mentality. And you have parents that are trying to like give the best for their kids. And, they see other kids that are doing this and I want to do that. And I want my kid to do that. And the kids do the same thing. So that's so challenging.
Yeah. Especially in the social media age where you can see what everyone's doing. Those are air quotes that I'm giving there, what everyone's doing, what they're doing on camera, actually. And you're like, ooh, that's how I get there. Not necessarily.
Right.
Dancers mean so well, and they'll post, like, this is how I warm up. That's great for you. But number one, it actually might not be the healthiest way to warm up because, you're not a PT putting warm up. And second of all, just because that's what's right for your body, maybe it's a great way to warm up, and it's right for the dancer next. So yes, the social and our whole work going on in a room with a mirror, and we're all seeing, comparing each other to each other in the mirror. It can be challenging for this person.
Yes.
So it's one of the challenges to overcome.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked a little bit earlier about the difference, the evolution of what a healthy dancer is and how it has changed over the last many years. Do you think that definition of a healthy dancer, mind, body, and soul, is catching on? Is it something that is picking up momentum, or is it still really kind of stalling out in our industry just because of the traditional way that we operate?
I think as an industry we're growing, we're getting intelligent. I see articles by amazing contributors in dances shedding light on proper ways to warm up, shedding light to avoid burnout. I think it's something that we're definitely growing industry. Are we there yet? No, but I think we're pointed in. I'm really hopeful that 2023 bring about even more information getting to like the 10-year-old dancer, not just the pre-pros and the college level dancers, but my hope is that 2023 brings even more accessible health to that younger who can take this into his or her own hands and start to develop these habits that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing in the dance world is that we're having the conversations that we never had before, and you're seeing all these things pop up more frequently, which is, we have to give credit to that. That's a big deal, and it's a step in the right direction. And I think even the people that are absorbing that content are thinking about it. They're stopping and they're taking pause and they're thinking about it. But it's the execution where we're falling short, I think, still as an industry of we take in that content, but because we're taking in so much content on a daily basis, it's in and out, right? Like we're not practicing. And I think the more that we have, I hope the more we have these conversations and ones like today, that eventually it will stick. And I think in business, I think we heard there's like, it's at least 21. I think it's more now, but there's 21 touch points that you have to reach a consumer before they go through and follow through with purchase. And so when you think about that on a scale of information to consumer, right? We have to hit it a lot. We have to hit it a lot for them to absorb and execute. So hopefully we're on the right track. I agree, Gina, we're not there yet, but I'm definitely encouraged. Gina, in your experience, what age is appropriate to really start teaching healthy habits that stick? How young is too young? And I ask this question because, I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son, and our 10-year-old is, he is a creature of habit, right? Like he has his ways of doing things, and it's a lot easier to get to mold him and get him to listen and follow advice and suggestions and things like that. My 6-year-old is, I mean, I think it's a little bit, there's a little bit of a fiery personality in there, but also if you tell her something, I know I'm going to do it my way and nothing sticks, right? So like how young is too young?
So without being too dramatic, I think the day we're born is the day we start to work on habits. When we're that little, it's the parent helping the child to and latch and all these things that are needed survival at that age. As long as it is age appropriate, I think as early as possible is the best to start doing habits. I'm putting on my coaching hat. Something I learned in my coaching training is if somebody to do something, really has to be Leah. So you're sweet, fiery 6-year-old. It's like, how can we tap in how can we make it something that she wants? And then what are to get her there? That can a child buy-in and going, yeah, I want to be like for a dancer, maybe you want to be strong. I don't want to be, out of energy by the time I'm halfway through my dance. So what are the steps you think you need to get there? And like kind of ask coaching questions and get the buy-in from them and have it be their idea, and then it'll be much stronger.
And even if, would you agree that even if the habits don't stick right away, consistency is key, and we want to keep trying and we want to keep fostering and having these conversations with them, even if they're young, because eventually it will stick, right?
Absolutely. Parents and dance leaders also, we have power to speak words of encouragement in our dancers, into our children, because what makes a habit stick is when the habit is associated with your identity. If your identity is, I am someone who cares my mind, my body, my soul, we can speak words to our children, into our dancers, saying, you know what, you are a hardworking dancer. I love to see when blah, blah, blah. We really help the identity become their identity. And then the habits and the buy-in will be there as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. If you're just joining, I am Bree Zabrowski with Apollo Performance Wear, here with my friend and fabulous co-host, Melissa McDaniel. This is Beyond the Steps. This is a show that we're going to talk about all things related to performance athletes that are impacting social issues that are impacting performance athletes, from racism, gender inequity, sex abuse and prevention, nutrition, psychology, and of course, dance medicine and science is always in there for us. We're chatting today with Gina McFadden, and we're talking about what are the top 5 ways we can encourage children to build healthy habits. And we just learned that it's never they're never too young to start, right? Like we can start when they're born, fostering a mindset to create these healthy habits. So Gina, I want to get into it now. Again, we just said consistency is key when developing healthy habits, and we know that it takes a village to raise a child. It's a very common, you see dance studios, the studio family. It's not just you with your kid. It's all the other parents. It's the coaches, the dance educators, the directors that step in and have an impact and a handprint on a child's life. So what are the healthy habits we want to see children strengthening more when they're training, performing, rehearsing, etc.?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. I think one of the first ones I want to talk about is our mindset, because I think a lot of dancers have if I don't do something perfectly, I have failed mindset. So I think off the bat, we should be helping our dancers, helping our children to have the habit of looking at mistakes as the best teacher to getting toward your goal. So if you make a habit of being 1% each day, that compounded over time will make for an amazing dancer in a year. Now, part of that whole process is if I fall out of that pirouette, are we going, shoot? Are we going, wonder why I fell out of that pirouette? So establishing the habit of, I just did something wrong or I just failed at it. The mindset to what can I learn from what just happened? I think that's one of the strongest habits we can establish in dancers that will help them not only but will help them roll with backs, challenging situations, will empower them to propel themselves forward, even though they just took a step back. Other positive habits would be to be hydrated, to focus on drinking a full glass of water first thing when you wake up in the morning. How about proper warm up, proper cool down, things that are going to help the dancer dance beyond 15, 16, and then they get injured and then they can't dance anymore. Filling your plate with colorful, healthy food. That's another great habit. Like, take a glance down at how many colors do you have on there? Is there something from the fridge that another color to your plate? So those are just off the top of my head for healthy dancer habits.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's important to distinguish. Sometimes there's that student who's really prone to, they're very hard on themselves, right? And we know that comes from somewhere, but you have that student who high anxiety, really gets down on themselves when they make that mistake. And that's a whole nother show and a whole nother topic. But also it's not just these children doing it by themselves. As coaches, as parents, as educators, we have a part to play in that as well. And it really requires us to take a step back and go, okay, we can talk all day about a healthy mindset and keeping them hydrated. But if we're not fostering a space that promotes those things as well from the training standpoint, then we're not being consistent, right? So what practical steps can dance educators, directors, teachers, parents take to encourage and support children in developing these healthy habits? Because they go together.
Absolutely. I work with a beautiful dancer one-on-one. We do physically together, but I also try and use my coaching mindset to help her and training to help her grow in her mental capacity in difficult situations. And when she's having a bad turn day, her neck gets tense, and then it's like the whole class starts spiraling out. And whenever I see that in her, I have her wiggle. I have her do this thing where she bounces up and down and she wiggles her neck. I don't mindset at all. I just have her wiggle a little bit. And I'm like, okay, you're just having fun. Wiggle, wiggle. Let's go back and do the turn again. So just keeping it lighthearted and also tapping into the physical aspect of it. There's something about being easy. You're not saying don't have anxiety, but just say, are we having fun? Bring in the light and sort of the dark dispel, if that makes sense. Rather than point out the thing nothing to change, bring in a fresh new thing that takes up their did that answer your question?
Yeah, it instead of just recognizing, hey, let's change your mindset, or don't be like that, just subtly, with an exercise or something else. You don't even have to talk about their mindset. You can just redirect and refocus their energy, which I love that.
So reframe.
Yeah.
A reframe. Yes. Just a shift. Instead of looking this way, hey, look, almost like a beautiful distraction. And it allows them to, like we look at Jan, allows them to have a fresh start. Yeah. I'm reading a fantastic book right now. If you're a teacher, if you're a parent, if you're whoever you are, this book will be helpful to you. Habits by James Clear. It is easy to read, really out. It talks about how to build positive habits, take away negative ones. Can I share with you 4 laws of making these positive habits?
Yes, please.
Because I find them super helpful. And as we apply them to us, we're going to see great things. Rule number 1 is habit you want, obvious. So instead of vague, like, I want to be healthier in the new year, maybe it's a goal of being hydrated. But to make it obvious, if you have to say behavior, the time and the location. So if I'm a dancer, okay, I want this year, I will behavior, drink a glass of water. At what time? As soon as I wake up in the morning when I turn my alarm clock off, and the location at my bedside table. I'm going to start my day like that. The second law is to make it attractive. So you want to make it something you will enjoy. If you want to eat healthier, like just eating seaweed sheets and like plain yogurt, something that's not fun, that's not going to make it attractive. It's not going to become a habit. How about like lots of healthy fruits and vegetables created with some ranch dressing? And oh, the ranch makes me like really want to dig into those, making the habit attractive. The third law of creating a positive habit is to make it easy. Your hydration goal is 1 glass a day. The night before, fill a glass, set it on the bedside table. You're making it easy. If your goal is to have more fruit, like I said, parents, that's something you can help your kids with. Have your stuff already prepped in glass or plastic, easily seen by the kids. We're making that habit easy that way. And the fourth law is to make the habit satisfying. That using a habit tracker, we all like love to put the checks in the bucket. Yeah, look, I warmed up all dance this week.
I love a list.
Yes, oh, me too. So making the habit obvious, making the habit attractive, making it easy to do, and making it satisfying will all be ways to reinforce these positive habits that we want to achieve this year.
Those are awesome tips. It seems like, wow, this list is very simple, but I know that can be pretty hard, especially when you think about making it satisfying and making it fun when it's something that you haven't typically been doing. So that can be very frustrating sometimes, especially for young people. It can get frustrating when you're trying and you feel like, okay, I'm trying to make it fun and I'm trying to make it satisfying, and it just doesn't seem to be sticking. What is your advice on helping young people push through it when it becomes frustrating, or when they have a setback and it's not quite forming like they would like?
Especially when they're in this age of instant gratification. Everything is, I want it now, and social media has done that to us as a society, right? So how do we accomplish that?
Yeah, I think the first thing to keep in mind is we don't want to say, in a dancer term, I want to get 32 fouettes. Well, that's like running a marathon. Like if you're not great at fouettes and you want to get to 32, that's way too many. So chunking it down into much smaller pieces. How about I want to get, if you're brand new, maybe it's 4 pirouettes from 5th. That's like step number 1. So making it smaller, our goals and our habits chunked down into more manageable sizes. When people start to train for a marathon, they don't run 26.2 miles on day one. You break it down, and there's this whole system. So teaching our dancers to, yes, these goals are, we're getting 1% better every day, not 2% better. That's not sustainable. So this slow trajectory over time with consistency will give you amazing, helping our dancers to think in terms of chunking it down better every day, and how that will compound over time, I think is a great point. And then giving yourself grace for when you mess up, when you don't do the habit every day. Teaching our kids, okay, like let that wipe away tomorrow's, and then we demonstrate that to them by how we right?
Yeah.
Like we make mistakes. If they say, oh shoot, blah blah blah, they're gonna internalize that, and they're gonna have that same type of attitude. Teaching them by how we manage our habits is key.
And so would you say it's important for educators and instructors and even parents to acknowledge and make sure to acknowledge those improvements as they're happening and recognizing them as they're happening to continue to encourage, because I think that, yes, we can say that, but we also have to make sure that we're recognizing that slow growth for them too. Do you agree?
Absolutely, because that's part of the make it satisfying. Somebody recognizing and shining a light on your hard work. That's definitely needed in order to have these habits become consistent. But the great thing about a habit, and I know, Melissa, you mentioned this earlier, it's challenging to start something new. But if you think all those things through, how to make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying, you're putting work in on the front end. But the amazing thing about a habit is that it becomes automated eventually. Like, so your front end, putting some work in, how can I make this satisfying? How can I get an immediate reward? You make you want to keep doing it. But once you establish a habit, you don't have to think about it, which is amazing. That's why habits are a ton of mentions in the title.
Right. Gina, is it true the 21 days to create a habit rule? I've heard that plenty of times. Like, it takes 21 days to form a habit. Is that true? Is that universally true? Is that just a myth?
I have read that. In fact, there's a neuroscientist that I follow, Dr. Carolyn Leaf, and she talks about the 21-day cycle. And she will even say sometimes it takes groupings of 21-day cycles to really make it a part of the automated thing. And you're going through stages in each one. But yes, it does take some consistency. But the great thing about making this obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying is that you kind of in a self-satisfying loop, and you want to sim the habit.
For those of you who are just joining us, this is Beyond the Steps. I am Melissa McDaniel Grisham. This is Bree Zabrowski, and we are talking to Gina McFadden about building healthy habits and helping our children build healthy habits and also maintain healthy habits. And one of the things I want to lift up is she said we have to model those healthy habits. It's so very important. If you are just joining us, please like, share, and subscribe. Apollo Performance, TP Dance Creations. We would love for you to share this episode. It is very, very important information. So I want to talk about young performance artists, Gina, and whose home life may not be quite as supportive of building healthy habits as it could be. They're trying to make a change, and maybe that modeling is not there that you talked about, or maybe the circumstances are not conducive to making it easy or even making it satisfying. It can probably be really hard for young people, especially when a lot of the parts of their life are not in their control.
Yes.
What advice would you give to someone like that?
Such a good point. All come from warm and homes. Perhaps we have parents do the best that they can, filling refrigerators full of healthy food, healthy options, and stuff as a dancer. And my heart goes out to dancers in those situations. I would say, one, if you're established and you know what your goals are, share them with parents and for support. Particularly the help that you need. Please buy a bag of cucumber and some, snacks that I can grab before dance. To lovingly, respectfully articulate your needs to and if your parent is not in a position to help you, perhaps there's a mentor or two that you can look to, or a grandparent, or older sibling, perhaps. Seek out help and not be in your immediate family circle. Maybe it's your dance teacher. Maybe you have a heart-to-heart with her and say, look, I need help. I'm not getting it from my family. The point is, you're not alone. And make some searching, but find that adult, find that supported mentor to help you through. And the other thing I would say is, you are a dancer. Dancers do hard things every day, and you can do this hard thing. you find ways to bring more health into your life. Is it going to take work? Is it going to take thinking out? Absolutely, but you are a dancer. You can do hard things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Gina. So we've learned a lot about the ways we can start fostering environments for our children to create healthy habits and ways that they can create healthy habits. Is habit building a skill that can be developed and applied across many areas, or is it very situational? So, in other words, is there a formula that can be applied to all things to create a healthy habit, or is it based on specifically what you're trying to do in the moment?
Yeah, actually, according to research, there is a very specific way to establish habits, and it are these 4 laws that we've been talking about. It's been studied in animals, it's been studied in humans across all different ages and backgrounds. And in order to get these healthy habits to stay, those 4 laws of making it obvious, making it attractive, setting it up to be easy to do, and setting up something in place to make it satisfying. Are the 4 laws to help these habits stick and to become automated, so that every time I wake up, I just automatically go. I mentioned the water thing because that was the goal for me. I was going right for coffee. And I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to give myself the moment I open my eyes. And at first it was like, okay, set the water glass out. Now I don't even think about it. It's automated. I drink a full glass of water and then I go get a cup of coffee. But on the front end, make it satisfying. As soon as I get coffee, I press go. I'm sorry. As soon as I finish my water, I press go on my me. That makes it that habit satisfying. Right. So, yeah, it's been studied, and if you look at the research behind atomic habits, you'll see that this is scientifically verified.
Awesome. Yes. Let's go to homework, Melissa.
Homework time. As you know, we love to give homework on this show. We every week we have our expert guests give our viewers one small thing that they can do between now and our next show, which is 7 days from now, to make progress in this area. Gina, what is your homework for our viewers today?
That's a great question. And since it's January, I think a lot of us mindset of like looking at our goals and how can Year's resolutions. Well, I think intentions are higher, at least for me, than a resolution. If my intention is to become a better dancer this year or a better artist this year, that down into if I'm going to become a better artist, what are the things that I need to do to get there? And then building those intentions into habits. So getting time to do improv, a better artist. Maybe it's to do improv, but we have that habit base and make it satisfying. So maybe it's as soon as I get a video and I put my down to save my spot at bar or wherever, I'm going to do 3 minutes of improv as warm up. We've got the place, making it satisfying. So looking at is to not only look at the end goal, think through the structure that's going to get you to the end goal, and then build habits around that. A great free worksheet called New Year's Dancer Intentions, Resolutions that dancers can download. It's sort of a walking process. If people want to download that, you can go to dancerdusty.com/dancer-. You can find it if you follow me on Instagram. I have a link in my bio. Follow me, Gina_McFadden_. It's just a free worksheet that'll help you get your dancer intentions in place for the dancer dash tips. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We also have homework Take the Steps initiative, everyone. It is free. It is free education where you can learn a number of different things about a number of different topics, from nutrition to psychology, sex abuse and prevention, racism, gender equity, and of course, dance, medicine, and science. We are offering that to you. It's at the Apollo website. Bree is I'm going to drop it here on the screen so that you can see that link and take advantage of that. I'm also gonna go ahead and put that corrected website up there for Gina's download as well. And Gina talked about some great guest resources, Atomic Habits by James Clear, and then also her downloadable worksheet that you can find there at that website that's there on your screen. Gina, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so follow me on Instagram at my Instagram handle, Gina_McFadden_. You can find me at dancer-360.com. You can also find me at Gina McFadden on what's the thing with it? YouTube. On YouTube, I've got something with the videos, healthy habit tips there as well. So yeah, that's all me.
So all of you that are watching from YouTube, head on over and follow Dancer 360 as well. It's got so much great content. So check that out. And Gina, I want to thank you for being back with us today. You're always so insightful. We love working with you. So thank you again. We appreciate it so much.
Thanks so much for having me. I always enjoy our conversations. And once again, I'm glad to be a small part of what you're doing for the dance world. So highly of you both and organizations that you represent. You. And it's an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. And Melissa, it's always a pleasure talking with you, my friend. We are going to be back next week with another fabulous Beyond the Steps episode. So mark your calendars and join us every Friday on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We are turning Beyond the Steps into a podcast this year. It is coming. I promise. We are working hard behind the scenes to get that out to you, seasons 1, 2, and now 3. So we hope you will subscribe and watch and listen to our podcast when it's available. Stay tuned for those details. You have homework from Miss Gina McFadden this week, so get to it. And until next week, we hope you continue your journey beyond the steps. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Bye.